Hey, welcome to What the Block, and this time we're going to be looking at Transpose block, which you will always find in your block library if you search for Transpose. Now, this block is maybe familiar to you under the name of pivot, at least as far as its function goes. And its purpose is to turn the table of data on its side. Now, to demonstrate the function, I have made myself a little table. It's a simple table containing months and some values, right? And this should work quite well to illustrate basically the function of transpose block. So we're going to go ahead and link our table to the input of the transpose block. And without touching any other property, if we look at the output, what we notice is basically this table kind of laying on its side. All the new columns that got generated, they got indexed, but they contain no name, of course. It has nowhere to get the name from. And the original column names are also not used here, so they're lost. So let's explore the options now to try and fix this situation. First of all, let's add the original columns, which is energy, water, and gas, to this table, right? So that our first column would contain those. So we know what each row is, and that's simply done by checking include headers. Right, so you notice this immediately added the original column names to the table. And now the column name that contains them is generically named headers. And of course, the energy is now this row, water and gas are respective rows, and month is a row as well. Now, next step, instead of having indexed names here, we can actually make these columns assume the name of our months. All we have to do is just tell the block to use which column to use for the naming. So if we look at the original, it's the month column that we would like to use as header names. So we're simply going to tell the block that month would be the column that we want to use. And as a result, you can see that now instead of having indexed columns, we have values from our original month column being used for the header names. Of course, the name of the column that contains our original headers remains headers, and unfortunately, we forever lose the name month from now on. So if we try to pivot it back, we can get back to the original table in exact way, except for the name of this column. So we lose the word month, and this is being replaced with the word headers. Other than that, we can pivot this back and forth as much as we want. So next, if let's say you don't have a nice column that you want to use for your header names, but you do want to prefix this index with something so that when you join with other tables, right, you can say maybe that these are month values and then something else will be, I don't know, yearly values and so on. You can give it a physical word, let's say month and underscore, and it will use that, whatever string you put in here, to prefix the indexing of the column, dynamically generated column names. Okay, so that's pretty simple. I'm just going to go back to using months. That gives us a nicer table. Now, next is ignore columns. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you want any of the columns from the original table not to participate in the result of the, basically transpose result, simply list them, comma separated. So, for example, we can say that we don't want gas, which immediately removes it from the result. We can also say that water is also not something we're interested in, and that of course removes that result as well. So this is exclusion list, comma separated, of columns that you do not want included in the result. That is pretty much it. That describes full functionality of the transpose block. Should be quite easy for you to use. All right, until next time, I'm Paul Sinenko.